Nomad makes.
Hi guys and welcome back to the show. Man, I gotta tell you, in a small workshop, floor space really is at a premium. So I needed to get rid of my old lumber rack. You'll find a build video for it up here. That means today we are building some really heavy duty shelf brackets. And by the way, I got this design, or it got inspired by this design from a video by Sandra Powell, aka Sawdust Girl. So you'll find the link up here for that as well. So let's not waste any more time and get right down to this.
For this project I'm trying to use up some scrap wood, and I took some parts of a bed I threw away some months ago. Then all I had to do was to measure if I could get enough wood from them and mark out the rough cuts. Purely for sentimental reasons, I wanted to use some parts from the old lumber rack. So, for the, in lack of a better word, bracket substrate, I used the old rack styles. Then I headed over to the miter saw, and as you can see here, I only had one wing open and supported the long end with an outfeed roller. Over at the table saw, I used an offcut to help set the blade height and rip width. And here you can see in real time how quick it is to change riving knives on this saw. This really is one of my favorite features of this specific saw. I want the posts to be 4 by 4 centimeters, and I started out by taking off the rounded edge on the table saw. This wood is some kind of pine or spruce, and I could really feel it binding when I was doing these cuts. And man, I gotta say, I'm really glad I've got a saw with a riving knife now. Then I ripped the posts to width, and to make sure they were square, I flipped them on the side and ran them through the saw again. This way you don't really have to pay attention to which side is which when you assemble the brackets. This saw doesn't have the capacity to make the next cut with the blade guard on, so I switched to the riving knife for the cuts of the bracket substrate. I made this cut without changing the fence to make sure the bracket substrate and post are the same width.
Luke, I am Nomad makes.
The fence on my miter saw needs to be adjusted to square, and as of now I do not trust it to make accurate cuts. so I squared up the pieces with my crosscut sled, which I know is dead nuts accurate. And if I only square up one edge, I mark it with a little angle, so that I know which edge is the square one. The posts were a bit long, and I didn't get enough support for the part that is sticking out beyond the sled, so I aborted the cut and clamped the piece down for a safer and more accurate cut. Then I could make the cut a hair fatter than I wanted and adjust all 4 posts to the same length in one cut. On the topic of simple tools that get used a lot, I use this 30cm metal ruler all the time. It even has this unit comparison table on the back, which was probably important before the internet. Anyway, this ruler is one of my most used tools. So, using my mechanical pencil, I scribed a line and headed to my brand new bandsaw. This part will become 2 bracket substrates. Then I could drunk drive down the line while Baby Vader watched with a critical eye. Normally I would make these cuts so that I would have gotten 2 of the sandwich pieces per cut, but I'm trying to use up some more scrap wood here, so I marked and cut one side first. I cut the sides to the same 15cm height on the table saw, and the total length for these brackets are 30cm. And if I remember right, the posts are 50cm long. After cutting out one bracket, I could then use that as a template for the next one. Man, it looks like Baby Vader has made himself another spaceship. Anyway, back in the workshop, I'm drawing a line as I will mount the brackets 5cm down on the posts. This will make the brackets easier to install on the wall. I noticed that the grain on the posts were very nice and straight without any cathedrals. If this was a more desirable wood species, they would have made great table legs, for instance. And here you can see the rifts on grain direction going more or less diagonal across the end grain. I just thought I'd point that out because I have been wondering why it is recommended to use rift sawn lumber for legs of tables and such. I don't know how much strength an end grain glue up will add, but I guess it won't hurt. The end grain just soaks up glue, and I let it sit some seconds and then add more. This is supposed to make an end grain glue up stronger. But don't wait too long, because PVA apparently won't stick to PVA once it has dried. Now the real strength in these brackets come from the glue and the sandwich construction in conjunction with the length of the posts. And the force, of course, let's not forget that. For larger surfaces I have started using this small foam roller that I got at a hobby shop. After the glue up I can then just rinse it out with water and reuse it at some later time. Now, how do you spread your glue? Please tell me in the comments below. At this point I started wondering what it really was that I had built here. Was it a shelf bracket or a toy horse?
Pinch the piece together.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't even really know what a plow plane is, so.
In the background you can hear my favorite podcast, the Woodshop Live podcast. If you are into woodworking and do not listen to podcasts, trust me, you are missing out. And if you should happen to start listening to this one, please let the guys know that I sent you guys over there. Now let's make a quick pause for a short story. I bought this stud finder through an ad on Instagram. It was supposed to hook up to your phone and give a visual representation of what's behind the wall. It was cheap, too good to be true, and turned out to be a scam. But the funny thing is that it actually works. It doesn't hook up to the phone though. I draw a line down the center of the stud, and this is so that I have something to aim for when I'm drilling the first hole through the bracket. Then I drill a hole in the bracket, and here you can see why I left 5 centimeters of the post sticking out on top. And also, if you're into wristwatches, a beautiful shot of my Seiko SKX009j Dive with a Bond style Zulu strap. Then I aim at the line on the wall and use the pilot hole in the post as a drill guide. This doesn't have to be perfect, but you must hit the stud. It is easier to hit the hole in the wall if you leave the tip of the screw sticking a little bit out. Here I have exaggerated a bit for your viewing pleasure. Now for the obligatory weight test, just to show you that these heavy duty brackets hold the weight of a fully grown but somewhat childish man.
So we may have gone completely overboard with the shelves, but at least now I've got all the wood off my floor and up onto the walls. And those shelves are not coming down before the wall does, trust me.
But again, that is it for today, guys. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please remember to leave a thumbs up. If this is your first visit to my channel, please consider subscribing. If you want to support me and help me continue making these videos, you'll find a Patreon link and affiliate links to products I use and recommend below, and I'll also get a little bit of kickback if you use those links. Cheers, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.